that I want to talk about is the letting go of expectation, which is again part of our human nature, that and part of our I would say maybe of our ego, that makes us feel that we expect things to happen in the way that we want it to be, and that what we expect to happen is the best for us. And it was really humbling experience for me to accept that it's okay to not expect anything, and do what I've heard as a term called the rubber band term. So what is the rubber band analogy is that we have goals and we have plans, but then we trust that we don't have any expectations of a certain outcomes. Sometimes it happens when we are starting something new. So let's say with me starting this project, I started with a big idea that I want to do something. I want to share experience and knowledge that I have been building for a long time and share it with people. I don't know exactly how. I don't know what will happen after that. I don't know what to expect out of it, but I can see that this is something that is calling me to do it, and I am allowing myself to do it without expecting anything. I wanted to succeed for sure, but I can't see exactly, and I am not aiming to have an exact outcome or expectation of what I want it to look like. So I'm just open to whatever will happen. I'm doing one step at the time. I'm following a passion. I'm listening to what other people are telling me and what people are interested to, and where this journey is taking me, without having a specific expectation that I'm fixated on. So the idea of rubber band is like, we build the image, we see that we want to do something, but then we let the rubber band go as far as it wants, without specifically saying we want it to hit that target, or we want it to be that there exactly. So it is a combination between knowing what we want, but at the same time letting it be. And I think if you do any creative activity, for me it's art, for example, I start my canvas knowing that I want to use certain colors and I want to do certain patterns, but I don't have any fixated expectation of what this artwork will look like. I will allow myself to do my best, to enjoy the process, to let it be, and then I will be like everyone else, surprised with the outcomes and enjoying the process through at the same time. And with that, specifically about the art example, what it allows me to do is forget about what others might think, because with expectation we have certain consideration of others outside of us, and that where brings the expectation, because we are expecting something to be, again, with our mind not being able to see other, or to collect information, or to have any ideas other than what we have collected from different places. So we, in a way, the expectation is a repetition of something that we have seen or heard about somewhere. So it is something that could be attached to something that we have seen, or we have some idea that it should happen in that way. That's, I think, a better term to use. With expectation, we have a should. It should happen like that. So where did we bring that should happen like that? We brought it from somewhere that we have seen before. And when we take off the expectation of something that we are doing, we are actually allowing more creativity to come in, because we're not loading it with anything else. We are allowing our uniqueness and our creativity and craziness sometimes to come in and create something that we are ourselves, as I mentioned, surprised with and happy about. So it is freeing us from something that a template that we need to fit in with anything that we are doing, whether it's a creative thing, whether it's a business, whether it's even a journey that we are starting, for example, with our exercise, or with anything that we are starting. Not having any expectation, but knowing where we want to be is very important to make us free in the process of being curious and creative to do what we need to do and enjoy it at the same time. The next point that I would like to talk about is letting go of fear. I think fear here is a continuation of all the ideas that I mentioned. When we have expectation, when we are living in the past or in the future, when we're having a specific outcome that we want to see, fear will come automatically to this process. And letting go of fear it means that we are allowing ourselves to be brave and to experiment without, again, expectation for outcomes. So with that, we will have growth. We will allow ourselves to be free for whatever outcomes that will come. And to be honest with you, I think the idea of fear or the feeling of fear is one of the feeling that we that creates, I would say, most of the modern problems that people are facing and struggling with, and finding the balance and the difference between excitement and fear can be hard sometimes, because what we will do and will bring us excitement can sometimes look or feel as fear and keep us where we are, not being able to take the first step because because it's mixed in our mind and in our body, the feeling or the differentiation between fear of something and excitement that we are doing something new and we don't know what the outcomes will be. Fear is also one of the I would say piece in the puzzle of being aware of ourselves and living in the moment, and letting go of expectations, trusting that the best is what's gonna happen, accepting what is happening in our life. So fear itself is one piece of the whole things that comes around it and with it at the same time. So being aware of our fear and knowing that it is okay to be fearful of things, but fear should not control our actions. I mean, fear sometimes could be beneficial to alert us to something that might not feel right. But when it becomes something that is holding us from being who we are and doing things that we can do, fear of judgment, fear of the unknown, fear of failure, it's all fears that doesn't have that can be really just holding us, because we don't know until we start doing, and we can't become perfect before we do. It's like a child. The child, when they're starting to walk, they will fail the first time, the second time, and they will stand up and they will continue, and they will fail again and they will continue. But to be able to walk, that's the process. There is no way to become perfect in something without doing it and failing it in it and mastering it slowly through the failure. So through failure we will learn that we need to avoid this and keep doing this and practice more and practice more. And this is very uncomfortable space to be in, but overcoming it will take us to unlimited possibilities, because once we know the mechanism of the fear, and that whatever is holding us is something that we don't know for real to be true. We are just holding this idea of fear of what others will say, or what could happen that I'm not expecting to happen. What if it didn't work? And in reality, this feeling is actually could be looked at as a question mark. What people will say about me could be, instead of from the sound of fear, it could be from a sound of a question mark. What if it didn't work? Instead of being fear, it could be what if it didn't work, with a question mark. So in this situation, instead of fearing the things that we don't know, we can look at it again with curiosity and with looking forward to see, if it doesn't work, what I'm going to do to fix it and solve it, instead of being afraid from doing it altogether because I don't want to face this question. So it is good to face those questions and see, what if it doesn't work? Okay, if it doesn't work, it means it doesn't work. I need to find something else. And if we try to see fear, in some cases, not all the time, of course, but in many cases, fear could be something exciting to feel curious about, instead of judging it before. That will drop a lot of the fear, especially the fear of judgment and the fear of the unknown and the fear of failure. And to be honest with you, I think if we start this approach with ourselves, life will be much easier, because we tend to fear, especially from the external. For example, at work, what if I'm not good enough in this position? What if I couldn't do this thing? And if we are understanding this concept that things that we don't know are opportunity to be curious and discover together, we will not judge others as failing or being able to do something or not being able to do something. As long as someone is doing their best, then it could be an opportunity that we realize that this thing is not working, so we need to change it and we need to look into other ways to make it happen. And that way life will be much more exciting and interesting, and a place where we can discover new things and allow real things to we will be able to say that this thing really works and this thing doesn't really work, instead of having a fixed rules that need to be true all the time. So looking at fear from a different perspective and facing it, really facing the fear, and saying to ourselves that, yes, I feel fearful, but what is the worst that could happen? Make it bigger, make the worst the biggest to the maximum. What is the worst thing that could happen? And then face it and accept that, yes, we can have fear when we're doing something new, or when we're facing something that is not an area where we are expert in or we know very well, but that's okay. It's a place to discover. The next point that I will be talking about is our image. and letting go of our image, because this is one of the other things that keep us that hold us back. What others think about us, what we think we should be, and this by itself is very heavy weight on our ability to do anything. Or so basically the idea of letting go of our image is to accept that we are human and we are humble, and the perfection is something that we as a human created. And because everything can be perfect the way it is, the idea of perfect, for example, flower, if we think about it that way in nature, what is the perfect flower? What is the perfect tree? Maybe we draw a tree and we think this is the perfect tree, but where does perfect tree exist in nature? Every single tree and every single flower is perfect the way it is. So if we let go of our image, the idea that we think that we should be, this will take a lot of heaviness from our shoulders, and it will allow us to be whatever and whoever we can be and we want to be. And in everyday life, we will be enjoying knowing who we are with everything that we are allowing ourselves to be, because we are not putting a certain expectation or a certain image for ourselves to be that image, or to be like that and speak in a certain way, or or do things in a certain way. We are allowing ourselves to be curious, to be whoever we are, to explore, to know ourselves better and know everything around us better at the same time. So and this is something that we can be resisting, because we for me, for example, the idea that especially when I moved to Australia in the very beginning, the idea that I need to speak perfect English because I don't want anyone to criticize me or to look at me as less or someone who don't know or don't understand, was actually very hard thing to do, because in the time that I was speaking, I was thinking about my speaking and I was getting stressed of any mistake that I was doing. So it was very stressful thing in my head that I was living in, just me, myself, because I am doing this image that is not realistic and having to fit myself in it. And it was troubling me in a huge in a very uncomfortable way, because and it was only me, no one else can feel it. Maybe people will feel that I'm very anxious when I'm talking, but that was mainly coming from the conversation that was happening in my head. And being able to let go of this image, letting go of me having to watch myself in a critical way when I am speaking, and just allowing the talk to happen and watching it without judgment, and accepting that English is not my first language and I'm not gonna be talking like a native speaker. It is okay. I can express my thoughts, and it's okay. There is no certain thing that I need to fit in. And that was not from anyone else. That was me putting the image of myself needing to be in a certain way. And once I became okay with this idea, once I had the feeling that I accept whoever I am, the way that I am, it doesn't mean that I won't do my best. I know that I will do my best, but there is no specific image that I need to be. I am who I am, and whoever accepts me the way I am, great, and whoever doesn't accept me, that's okay as well. No one is for everyone, and if we are for everyone, it means that we don't have any clear personality that hold us different from others. Because if I am if I agree with everything and everyone, and I don't have any opinion about anything, that's also not realistic. So the idea of our image is one of the things that can be looked at. Who we are allowing ourselves, how we are allowing ourselves to be the way that we are we fixated on a certain image that we want to fit in, that is actually putting heavy weight on our shoulders. The next point that I want to talk about, so those are the mindsets, those are the ideas that the areas of letting go that we can really look into and try to think deeper into. Which one of those do we need to let go of? Maybe more than one could be, and maybe in different areas in our life we have different ones. We have, for example, specific expectation in our marriages, and a specific fear in our job, and specific thing in our different part of our life. So they could be different in different areas. So trying to understand those and see where we are stuck in a way could be helpful to let go of all the attachment and just be comfortable with everything that exists in our life and everything that we are as individuals. And as I mentioned in the beginning, the idea of practicing letting go could start with awareness, but also could be bodied by the practices that we can do in our everyday life that can help us to grasp more the idea of letting go. So what we can do to let go is starting to repeat things physically and in our mind. So affirmations and repeating phrases, and see how we resist them, could be something that we can start to change our mindset about attachment and allowing letting go. And one of those could be see where we are with believing that the best is going to happen. Whether we repeat it when we are feeling uncomfortable, and I do that a lot when I feel that I'm afraid that I might not find a job, especially being in a new country now, and then immediately I try to remind myself that what I really believe is that the best is what's going to happen, and I don't know what that is. So whether I find a job or not, I don't know. But what I know is that the best is what's going to happen. So trying to remind myself with this phrase and with this belief helps me to bring myself back to not going with the fear of the unknown that I don't have any control about. So this is one of the practices that I do all the time. I remind myself of it whenever someone is doubting something in front of me. I just remind myself and remind them that I trust that the best is what's going to happen. Practicing meditation is one of the practices that help us with quieting the mind, not allowing the mind to be always trying to take over and control the situation and give us solutions and scenarios of things that could happen. So the idea of meditation and living the now and allowing ourselves to focus just on the breathing and appreciating this breathing, appreciating that we have the sense of our body and we are living this moment, and this moment is actually a perfect moment the way it is, will help us in letting go of always thinking about the future and the past, and just being able to practice living in the now. The other practice here is take responsibility for our life and the decision, and not being victims to what happened. This is also one of the things that can be we can remind ourselves about, that okay, it seems like a hard situation, but instead of feeling that I am a victim in this situation, how can I feel that it's a challenge that I need to face and solve? Reminding ourselves of this will help us also to move from being attached to the feeling of victim. Because one more thing that I want to mention here, that the victim mentality could be bad but comfortable at the same time. Like, we can get comfortable in the idea that we have people who are feeling a little bit sorry for us here and there in different situations, and that we are helpless in this situation. There is a certain comfort in this, and if we get stuck in it, it won't take us anywhere. So being aware that okay, I am enjoying this a little bit, and it won't help me in the future. I just need to take control and just let go of the enjoyment and the comfort of feeling victim and helpless and not being able to do anything in this situation. So being aware of this, that it got a little bit of addiction, because it's the easiest option to do in a situation, to feel like, oh, I can't do anything here, it's very hard. And when I'm talking to someone about a certain problem, and they start telling me, but this, but that, but, I know that in their mind they're not trying to find the solution. In a way, they're still in that place of comfort, that it's hard, there is no solution, I can't do anything about it. So just again, I'm not giving 100% rule for all situations in life, but being aware of those possibilities can help us to realize certain hidden feelings that we might not be spotting the light on in those situations. Visualization and the rubber band analogy that I just mentioned can be one of the things that can be exciting, that we have a goal, we have a dream, we have an image of what we want to be, but we are not fixated on the outcome. We are not fixated, and we are not expecting things to happen in the way that we're exactly imagining it. They could happen in a better way, they could happen in a different way, and that is okay. We are I just want to tell a story here that I remembered when I first came to Australia. I remember that I wanted a car, and I didn't have any idea what that car will look like, and I was okay with that. The idea of getting a car was almost impossible for me at the very beginning of being in Australia. I remember someone asking me to move a car, like a car in a parking, and one of my colleagues came and asked me, "Is this car for you?" And I said, "No, not yet. I don't have a car yet." And we were just laughing about not yet. And in that conversation, I told her, I'm asking the universe for a car, but I'm waiting for the delivery. I don't know what I will receive, but I just want a car. I don't know what it will look like. So this was one of the examples of things that we might ask for or want or imagine that we will have, but allow it to be whatever it will be, and knowing that, again, whatever we will get is the best for us in this time. We can look for improving it, but at this time, this is the best, and we are okay with it. So try to practice visualization about things that you want to see in your life, but allow it to be free from restriction in a certain way that you think is the best to be. And the last thing that I think is one of my favorite personally is to giving gifts and without any specific occasions. So, and for me personally, I like to give gifts that I personally like. I would, for example, do some paintings, and I will have the attempt to keep them for myself, but I will practice giving those things or those gifts or things like I would like to share without any specific reason or occasion, and for not necessary people that are best friends or family. Sometimes it could be a friend that I feel they are nice people and I just want to share with them something nice for no reason and for no with no expectation. And when you have this this resistance or this attachment to something, try to give it away. Try to practice that beside gifts. If you have a favorite pen that you are keeping and you are, for example, for years you haven't used, or you're sometimes using, or whatever the situation is, but you feel you just want to hold it for yourself for no specific reason, try to practice giving those things sometimes every now and then, because it's a practice of letting go of physical things that we might give, and we might overload them with attachment for our identity, like clothes, for example, that we haven't wear for years, and we just don't want to give them away. We just want to get we have this attachment to them for some reason. Some of them could be special, and that's a different story, but some of them there's no reason. I bought it from Kmart and it doesn't mean anything, but I just want to keep it for myself. I'm not wearing it, I'm not doing anything or something. So practicing giving away things that we consciously feel that we have an unreasonable attachment to can be a practice of letting go. And with that, I will close the meeting for today, and I will open for any questions or things that you want to share or comment on.
Thank you. That was a fantastic session again, Najla.
Thank you.
I must say that every Friday, this is the time for me to unwind and listen to your great talk. And most of it is like, some people would say common sense, but then we don't slow down and think about these things, such as what you spoke about today, letting go of fear, which can stop us from progressing with, things that we want to do. Absolutely. In life. And, but I love how you finished with saying, even start practicing letting go of some things, like simple things. For example, that Kmart t-shirt that I bought, just love it, and I just don't want to let go of it, even though I have like 10 shirts, you know what I mean?
Yes.
So if you practice that, it's I think it's really hard.
Yes.
It's hard.
It shows you
to let go.
Absolutely, it shows you the hardness of the letting go mentally as well, because with those small physical things, it represents the difficulty. And I agree with you. Some of those topics seems to be very simple and common sense, but I think diving a little bit deeper from the surface of the word letting go and just going into really what does that mean and look like in our life is an important thing to really be able to see it.
Yeah, Yeah, definitely. Like if you let go of fear, and as you mentioned, it's okay to have certain dose of fear, but sometimes fear can overwhelm us and really stop us from giving it a go
Yes.
and trying something. So yeah, thank you for that. That was amazing.
Thank you very much, Jelka. Thank you. I really appreciate your time and the comments and you being here and everything. And it's really great to hear the feedback. So thank you. Munad,
Thank you, Najla.
thank
Thank you very much for you. Every time let me like think about I have to live in like now, not in the past, not dreaming something anything in the future. Like I have to be start like from now. Like I'm not gonna think about what happened in the past. It's already done.
yes.
What yeah, it's not gonna do anything. I'm not gonna fix anything for the past. Like I have to think about now. Like every time when I have a Friday like with you, like I feel like that session it's very nice, and I feel like I will be creative something nice after that session. Thinking about something like a positive. Thank you for you. Thank you for you.
Thank you very much. That means a lot to me. That really means a lot to me. So thank you very much. As you mentioned, the sessions on Friday, and I've created those 5 weeks, and this week is the final week for the 5 weeks. I just want to ask you, do you think it would be good idea to continue, or do you have any suggestions? I really want to hear from you because I feel that I'm not sure what I'm going to do next after the 5 weeks, and it would be good if you have any suggestion or ideas that you can share with me.
You know what might be a good idea? It might be a good idea that you create a few questions and the electronic form and send it to all of us who registered for these 5 sessions.
Yes.
And give an opportunity to people to reflect back on and think of
yes,
work with them, what you might do differently, or any suggestions or anything else that that might be my idea.
Okay.
But until you get that, don't stop. Maybe you can have something different, like different sessions, and it doesn't have to be every Friday. It can be every second Friday or any other day. Consistency, yes. I think it's so important. Yes. So and surely you can choose so many different topics, and you can also maybe in those forums you can ask a question people would like to hear about, and then get engaged through social media and things like that. So
yes, okay, great.
Something maybe to consider. I don't know what one thinks.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great idea. The feedback is a great idea, and maybe I will spread a little bit the session. So I will skip next Friday. I can do a session next Friday, and and ask people what topics they want me to talk about, and that will be definitely good. Yes, thank you. Consistency, I agree.
We continue, and we will be happy to have you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, I will continue. Thank you for the encouragement, and you will hear from me soon. So I will see you. Until then, take care, and have a good weekend.
No worries, Najla.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.